It's that time again, time for more filler. I've been doing research for bigger projects involving lolcows that I haven't talked about, notable people from the history of The Howard Stern Show, commentary on broad internet phenomena, and some pretty neat things for live streams. And of course these videos, which while they don't bring in massive numbers, they're a good way to keep the content train chugging along while I work on more substantial content. Rest assured, larger projects are coming, but I think today's story is definitely worth the time invested. I have received several requests over the last few months regarding a series of stories called Diary of a Tard Wrangler, and with a name like that, how could I possibly say no? Today, we'll be starting the saga off strong with Diary of a Tard Wrangler, Tard Sex. It should also go without saying that this story is going to be offensive and is probably not real, so don't get your panties in a bunch. It's not that deep. And just so that way YouTube doesn't beat me over the head with a brick, I'm going to be censoring the offensive words going forward. I don't normally like doing this, but I'm going to be keeping a tally so that way we can see how much had to be censored. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Be me, 30-year-old tard wrangler. I have a master's in special education and have been wrangling tards since I was 24. It's bad, fellow Anons. One professor said that, quote, the mentally handicapped are as much sexual beings as you and I. That doesn't begin to explain it. Tards want to fuck. They need to fuck. And by God, they will fuck. So get out of their way unless you're a tard wrangler. Then it's your job to get between them and their irrepressible urge to come. It doesn't matter if they are incontinent, nonverbal, spastic, and have no sign of intelligence. They want to fuck. If they can't have sex, they will masturbate no matter the time, no matter the place. It's like the green eggs and ham of jacking it. On a fox in a box, I will jack it on your green eggs and ham. I will jack it here, I will jack it there, I will jack it anywhere, etc. Tards have no shame. They will try to fuck anyone or anything they can hold down. I have seen a tard who couldn't turn his head to look straight ahead attempt to mount another tard. I have seen tards pleasure themselves in every conceivable place, position, and manner. Every young wrangler has their first encounter with tard sex. You are never prepared for it. I was 20 years old, still in college, working a summer job as a wrangler at tard school. It was back when frosted tips were socially acceptable, and I was trying to separate a 24-year-old teacher named Sarah from her panties. She was definitely giving me signals, and I was all about getting a cute teacher 4 years older than me. For reasons that will soon become clear, I never got those panties off. It was a residential school. That week I was working the evening shift. Tards at night are a whole different beast. We were doing head count. Head count is an important part of a wrangler's job, because tards like to wander. The world is incomprehensible to tards, so they're always on a quest for something they understand like McDonald's, nudity, public defecation, orgasm, or some combination thereof. We were 2 tards short. As the newest wrangler, I was sent on a tard hunt. Sarah was working that night, so I was ready to impress her. I began the tard hunt. After 15 futile minutes, I saw the lights on in a classroom. I was not important enough yet to have a walkie-talkie, so I went in alone. Big mistake. There was a supply closet, and from that closet came the sounds that I would grow to fear, the sounds of tards mating. But I had not learned to fear yet, and though I did not know it, I was soon to receive my education. I opened the closet doors. Hudson was a high-functioning downy. Doris was autistic, had the mind of a 4-year-old, and no vocabulary to speak of. They were both 16. They were both stark naked, clothes in a pile around their ankles. Like most tards, they were flabby and out of shape, like middle-aged suburbanites who had given up on themselves. Their wardrobe was mostly sweatpants and t-shirts, really anything that was easy to wash, colorful, and hit a diaper. Doris and Hudson's version of sex was standing chest to chest and each sort of jumping up and down. Hudson was making an sound, like a car's tires stuck in the mud and spinning. Doris was making a huh, as though Hudson kept saying something to her and she kept not quite hearing it. At first, they didn't notice when I opened the door. The sudden flood of light was not enough to stop their tard rut. Then Doris saw me. She shrieked bad at me and took off running, buck naked, flab shaking, crying, and screaming bad at the top of her lungs. I had harbored hopes that they had not actually been doing the nasty, but as Doris pulled away, I saw it, fellow Anons. I saw it. I saw Hudson's tard cock pull out of Doris. I saw her wince with the sudden pullout. I saw something else too. Hudson's rage. He had the rage of a tard denied. You must be careful when you deny a tard that which they most desire, whether it's french fries, the playground, or the chance to come in Doris's tard cooter. And Hudson was denied. He reacted like any tard denied, with tard rage. There's no rage like tard rage. He was 5'6", solid 180 to 200 pounds, fucking charged me like a naked linebacker. I felt the impact before I realized what had happened. I must have spun because I was face down with his full weight on me. I could smell his body odor and spittle, dog slobber less than Downey's, and he was humping my goddamn leg. I could hear a furious and felt his cock ramming the hollow of my knee. Fortunately, his aim was terrible and he wasn't humping my ass crack through my shorts. I tried to hook his leg and lift a shoulder to flip him over, but stopped when I realized I'd be face to face with him, and the law says you can't headbutt turds. Doris was my savior. Her screaming alerted my fellow Wranglers that I had found the missing turds and that something bad was happening. Sarah and 2 other Wranglers rushed in and pulled Hudson off of me. I stood up in time to see him come all over himself. Then he got this look of bliss and his eyes rolled back in his head. The great thing about turd sex is that turds have no post-nut clarity. There's no waking up in the morning and realizing your one-night stand isn't an 8 out of 10, but a 4 out of 10 at best and still having wake-up sex. There's no realizing that you fapped a Japanese MILF anal 3 times in the last hour. There's no questioning everything about yourself and why you have such low standards and such dark urges. All turd sex is beautiful and fulfilling. There is no regret, just pure explosive orgasmic release. You may think that I could not seal the deal with Sarah because she had seen a turd fucking the back of my knee while I struggled under his flabby, rank-smelling body. That wasn't it, fellow Anons. She knew the horror and the risk that we took. No judgment among Wranglers. That night when we were leaving, she stopped me in the parking. She placed her hand on my forearm, not like she was getting my attention, although she did, but lightly. Her hand lingered there. She said, quote, "Rough night. Come over to my place." I said that I had to go home. This wasn't a moment of autism on my part. I've had plenty of those. It was something deeper. I'd had my first encounter with turd sex. In that moment, I'd lost my own sex drive. I entered a period of voluntary celibacy. Sarah said she understood that it happens to all of us. Thus ended a young Wrangler's first encounter with turd sex. In a few years, I had my master's and was a full-fledged and duly licensed turd Wrangler. I had command of an entire corps of Wranglers. Now I am the one comforting the newly despoiled Wranglers, those poor souls who gazed into the eyes of the orgasming turd. Now I have entered my period of maturity. The thing about turd sex is you can't stop it, and there's no turd sex education. There's no educating turds, only containing them. Teaching high school turds is the worst. They are delayed in pretty much everything, so they get secondary sexual characteristics, tits, hair, periods, at the usual time, but the sexual awakening is around 14 to 15. You know it's arrived when you're in the classroom working on life skills like not taking your diaper off in class, when all of a sudden Rodney is cranking his hog. It's like boom, hog cranking time. The girls are worse because it's harder to catch. There's no dick hanging out of sweatpants to tip you off. It's like a stakeout on a cop show. Sometimes it's hard to spot, sometimes it's easy. Either way, you have to catch them in the act. Like this one girl, Rosa, who was not Hispanic at all. Her parents were like, fuck it, we're having a turd, and picked a random name. Her desk starts bucking and lurching. So I go over and she has both hands down her pants. She is pounding her pussy like a butcher pounds veal. You gotta play it right. See, with Rosa, if you got her worked up, she was a real screamer. If one turd starts screaming, then the whole class joins in and the rees start to bounce off the walls. Full-on turd frenzy. So I tried the old bunny trick. I got a stuffed bunny and shook it in front of her face. She must have been a newbie to paddling the pink canoe because it worked. Her hands popped out and took the stuffed bunny. We got lucky. She spent the rest of the day holding the bunny and staring into space. The boys are easier to catch. The dick is out and the sound is unmistakable. It's a combination of the classic fap fap and a feral rutting sound. The boys have no shame. If you try to stop a girl, at worst you get the rees. If you try to stop a boy, they will straight up fight you. There is no set of circumstances under which you want to fight a fully erect turd who is ready to blow his load. They will slap you with their dick and come on your leg. You have only 2 options: catch them before they start and distract them, or just wait for them to come. Chuckling Charlie, who I've mentioned before, is a horny motherfucker and will jack it anywhere. He would jack it at his grandmother's funeral if he felt the urge. However, he's easy to catch if you know what to look for. He usually just has the classic blank turd stare, just looking out into the middle distance with a rope of drool running down his chin. Catching him is a game of turd poker, and if Charlie wins, he gets to crank his hog. If you win, the hog remains uncranked. Like many poker players, he has a tell. When he starts to chuckle, he's decided to yank out his tallywhacker and whip up a batch of man batter. Once the chuckling starts, you have approximately 45 seconds to distract him. Otherwise, you gotta let him finish, because he will sucker punch you with his free hand. Once the turd is jacking their dick, you have to protect the public and prevent the dreaded turd circle jerk. Most people have never seen a turd masturbate and never will. To the uninitiated, the mere sight of a turd hammering their cock, drooling, and grunting will produce a mixture of fury and terror. You, the Wrangler, will be met with accusations that you are derelict on your duty. They will claim that it is somehow in your power to stop this. You will also face looks of horror, screams, and the public's chaotic movements that set off a fight-or-flight reaction in the turds. A masturbating turd who is frightened may enact the turd range sequence, engage turd strength, or run away. They will not, however, stop masturbating. This may be the only time a turd is able to multitask, as they will not release the death grip on their member until orgasm is achieved. Second, and perhaps more importantly, if there are other turds around, the sight of one turd masturbating is inspiring to all turds in the vicinity. In a matter of moments, you may have 20 dicks out. It's a classic case of turd see, turd do. You must, above all else, prevent the turd circle jerk. The public will react like it's a 1950s horror movie and there will be jizz everywhere. A turd only has one reaction to a large volume of body fluid: creative play. No McDonald's is ever the same after 20 turds treat a bucket's worth of cum like finger paint. I should have mentioned this earlier, but the male turd produces an astonishing volume of cum with each orgasm and has an enviably brief refractory period. The result is that a large group of turds can produce an unusual amount of semen. There are some days when I am no more than a glorified jizz mopper. We must now confront turd pregnancy. Turds, impossible to educate and determined to fuck, will occasionally make babies. I'm an advocate for turd sterilization, but you can't force it, so it's up to the parents. Many turd parents engage in a form of magical thinking that is borderline retarded. The parents of the future mama and the future papa had been warned about the risks of turd sex. We warn all the parents, but many turd parents find Jesus and go full Jesus turd. These praise song singing Jesus parents who firmly believe that sex can only occur within the confines of a good Christian marriage, so they didn't need to worry. See, magical thinking. Let us begin with the mother. Nevaeh is a hardcore turd, barely there as far as I can tell. She is the adopted daughter of Carol and Herb. Carol and Herb are hardcore Christians who adopt turds to prove how amazing they are. And hold on for a second, I know the name is pronounced Herb, but I think Herb is a lot funnier. Also, they want to prove that abortion is evil because even turds can find loving parents. Bill Hicks has a whole bit about growing up with evangelical parents. I highly recommend it. Bill Hicks was a genius, the least retarded person in the 1980s and early 90s. But I digress, because the real story is too dark. Anyway, back to the story. I've mentioned Carol before. Chuckling Charlie is also her adopted turd son. Her husband is away on business a lot. Also, he spends a lot of time being a prayer warrior. I've only met Herb once. Not much of a personality. Carol, for whatever reason, has decided to get more involved. She did a bang-up job of being a field trip chaperone. See previous diary entry. Anyway, her heavenly little Nevaeh had been caught pressing the pink button a few times. A few times in class, once in the library, and in the cafeteria every Pizza Friday. Fucking turd logic. She is too far down the turd hole to stop. No matter what you did, she'd just stare at you and keep driving hard for the big O. Carol and Herb came in for a conference. We brought up sterilization. Shit, even an IUD would have worked. Carol went full Jesus hand flapping and head shaking. She started to grasp at Herb, probably for the first time in years. Herb looked straight at me and said, "I'd like to watch you fuck my wife. Then you can call me a dirty boy while I suck your dick." Just kidding. If he had said that, I'd have won $500 in the Wrangler office pool. Herb looked straight at me and said, "This is unacceptable." That was it. 100% of his fucking contribution. Murder is unacceptable, but I'm pretty sure that we won't create a crime-free paradise with a policeman walking around saying murder is unacceptable to gangbangers and meth heads. Carol went with the "what kind of school are you running here" angle. Neither of them addressed that their hardcore autistic daughter wouldn't listen because she jumped off the reasoning train at "don't do stuff that hurts." So this was a problem when it came to sex, because judging by Pizza Day, she really liked digging for clams. Anyway, guess who got pregnant? Jenny, the English teacher. She's been married about 5 years, super cool, had a couple of miscarriages, but this time everything looks good, so we're really happy for her. Also Nevaeh. An assistant wrangler named Sherry made the discovery. Sherry is in charge of all period-related stuff with the turds, because it would be inappropriate for a male teacher. Yay! Nevaeh had put on weight and had gone through a vomiting phase, but turds eat like shit. Turds have irregular periods, but we weren't concerned until it had been 4 months. Then Sherry pulls me aside and said, "I think the even ha is regnagpa." I have no idea why she is speaking Pig Latin. She could have yelled, "I think Nevaeh is pregnant," and nobody would have understood. At most, someone would have said snack snack and started crying. Ginny got a whole baby bedroom set at her shower. We are not having a baby shower for Nevaeh at the assistant principal's house. Instead, we are having a meeting, also with the assistant principal. Now, there was a prior incident when a turd wrangler named Stan knocked up a turd and we all got DNA tested. Pretty sad case. Girl was devastated. I'm sure Stan was devastated when he met his cellmate. Anyway, that was 2 years ago, so I was really hoping that they had my DNA on file with the police. I know privacy yada yada yada, but the authoritative administrative police state can get it anyway. So I was hoping I could save myself a trip. No such luck, so I had to go to the police station after school and ask them to DNA test me to prove I'm not the father of a turd baby. Well, they just assume that you're guilty and treat you like shit. Which is weird because I went with 3 other teachers and we couldn't all be the father, but they still treated us like shitbird sex offenders. Was it weird that we went as a group? No. It was bottomless wings night at Applebee's, and the earth sciences teacher Leviticus, huge black guy, played college ball, doesn't coach our team because fuck that noise, I go home at 3 p.m., is the designated driver this week. Now Applebee's has average wings and average beer at rock bottom prices. After a shot of Jank with a beer back, well, who gives a fuck? Not me. I'm wrangling turds hungover the next day. None of the teachers are the father. We reenacted the Maury Povich bit in front of the principal and 2 detectives. One of the detectives laughed, so a mixed result. My punishment was having to meet with Nevea while a Child Protective Services caseworker talked to her. They thought I spoke turd. I don't. Even turds don't speak turd. Then the caseworker and I met with Carol and Herb. I suggested that Herb and Chuckling Charlie, her brother, get tested. Carol gave us a well, I never. The caseworker said she could get a court order. Later, the caseworker said that I wasn't supposed to be so blunt. Apparently you work up to it, like getting your girlfriend to do something weird in bed. Whatever, I deal with turds all day. I didn't have time to be discreet. I wanted to go home, watch HBO, and maybe try to find someone who sells LSD. Herb, not the father. Chuckling Charlie, not the father. Carol wants to hold some insane Salem witch trial in my class. I was 50% against it on principle. I was 50% for it because there was a 100% chance that at least 1 kid would jerk off, 2 kids would fill their diapers, and Carol would get sucker punched for spooking a turd. My scruples prevailed and Carol was left to sulk. A week later, she called me crying and said that she wanted Nevea to marry the father so that the baby wouldn't be a bastard and would be blessed with a happy family. She actually said that. Apparently she thinks that marriage cures turdism. I doubt it. But what do I know? None of my students get less retarded in my class, so maybe I should be holding turd weddings. Nevea has literally no idea what is going on. She's about 8 months pregnant. If the perpetrator is in our class, he's the smartest turd in the school because he hasn't said a thing. She's waddling around with her pregnant belly sticking out of the weird youth pastor outfits Carol dresses her in. No one knows what happens next. Carol called me and asked me to come over and meet with Herb and her to discuss the next steps. She also offered to meet with me alone. She actually used that word. I refused both. An ironclad rule of turd wrangling is never fuck a turd's mom. There's no rule that specifically addresses joining a family and cuck fantasies, but I'm 100% against joining evangelical Christian cuck fantasies. So we're in uncharted territory. I am a strong advocate for the Bob Barker rule. Remember folks, spay and neuter your turds. Now, I'm a little drunk, this time from half-price appetizer night at Chili's. Same deal as Applebee's, cheap shitty that gets better with booze. I am single. I've run into Sarah a few times. She's single too. Turd wrangling is a small world and we go to the same conferences. She always knows that I'm single and I always know that she's single. We clearly stalk each other's social media. We've never talked about what happened all those summers ago, me getting knee raped and then turning her down, but we always have a good time hanging out. To be honest, if she mentions her biological clock even once, she's 4 years older than I am. I will marry her on the spot. If she doesn't, then I think I'm going to be completely autistic about it. I'm not really sure what to do with it, how to make a move, or if I should make a move. I'm thinking I should get frosted tips to regain my 20-year-old self-confidence. Anyway, I've hit the highlight of turd wrangling, from the dizzying highs of forced knee sex to the rock-bottom lows of getting DNA tested at the police station. I even have a story of love that might have been with another Wrangler. Oh wait, Leviticus just told the bartender that he teaches about rocks and I teach rocks. We are all so fucking drunk right now. Wow, wasn't that great? No proper ending and we end on a funny note. For once, OP delivered with a little humor. But I digress. I suppose that's going to be the end for today's video. If you like what I do, leave a comment, rate, and subscribe. If you want to support me in a more personal way, you can check out the Patreon link and the Teespring link in the description. I've also got a Newgrounds account if art stuff is your thing. I've got more contents coming down the pipeline. But until then, I'll see you degenerates next time.